2, 3. God, you're so good to me. You've always been so good to me. I sing it to eternity. God, you're so good. God, you're so beautiful. You are so beautiful. Baby, you're faithful. God, you're so good. You're so merciful. God, you're so merciful. You've always been so merciful. Your blessings are so bountiful. God, you're so good. You're so good to me. God, you're so good to me. You've always been so good to me. I sing it through eternity. God, you're so good. God, you're so good to me. You've always been so good to me. I sing it through eternity. God, you're so good. Yeah.
So that's how we'll end it.
Good morning and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Parker. My name's Reverend Rick McCollum and I'm the senior minister here. As we begin this morning's service, I would like to begin with lighting of our unity candle. If you have a unity candle at home, I invite you to light that now. We light this representing the light that is in each and every one of us. At Center for Spiritual Living, we recognize that there's not just one way to have a relationship with the God of our understanding. There are many paths and one God, one power, one presence. So wherever you are on your spiritual journey, know that you're welcome here with us. And we're glad that you've joined us this morning. As a spiritual organization, we have a 30-year goal. And we'd like to say that together now. So I invite you to join me as we say, the Center for Spiritual Living Parker is a global resource to help people discover and live their spiritual truth. The way we discover and live our spiritual truth is through applying spiritual principles. And we'll be talking more about spiritual tools and principles today as we go through our service. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for being here online and for everyone that's viewing us. We're glad that you're with us this morning. Now we move into our time of music and meditation.
I am goodness, grace beyond measure. I am peace, here and now. I am wholeness, thriving perfection. I am love. I am love. I
Hello, and now it is time for our meditation. What do I know of God? God is life. Life is omnipresent. All is alive. I see this in the wonders of nature. I see this in myself. I am alive because I am life. My life is God's life. My life is God. I feel my livingness within me. I feel God. My awareness of God is growing. God is love. I feel love in my heart and know that this is the very Spirit of God flowing through my feeling nature. I could not love without God. I love. Therefore, I am one with God. My understanding of God is growing. God is wisdom and intelligence. God is mind, and I sense the infinite knowingness of that mind within me. I think, I know, and that is which I think and know is God's mind in expression. My knowledge of God is growing. Where is God? God is where I am. God is what I am. I am an individualization of God, and the Spirit of God dwells within me as me. I am the light of the world. I turn within to the light and say, Thou art the Christ, the Spirit of the living God. You are my spirit, my soul, my body. When I look at thee, I see me. And I listen in the silence for the acknowledgement from within. I am now conscious of God, of my Christ self. I am the Christ of God, the truth of God, the self of God. Through this consciousness of the reality of me, I open the door to Spirit. I draw into my mind and feeling nature the wholeness of Spirit, the allness of God, and my consciousness is filled with the light of truth. I know now that there is nothing that I could really, truly desire that is not at this very moment standing at the door of my consciousness, ready to appear in my life and affairs. I have only to become conscious of this truth, and every need is met, every problem is solved, and every question is answered. My consciousness of God within is all I will ever need for all eternity. And I speak these words as truth, and so it is. Namaste.
Our talk today, and throughout the month of June, is centered on the theme of mindfulness. Mindfulness for mavericks. So you may wonder, what is a maverick? Well, it can be defined as an independent thinker that doesn't follow the crowd in their beliefs or their actions. I believe that this defines many of us in our philosophy. As religious scientists, we typically don't follow the crowd in our beliefs or our actions. And so we invite ourselves onto this spiritual path, a different way of viewing the world, a more positive view, the glass half empty instead of half full, looking and seeing the blessings that are coming to us in life, no matter what the outside circumstance. So it sets us apart from many people in the world, being on this spiritual path and having this mindfulness about us. Now, not setting us apart because we're elite or better than anyone else, but setting us apart in how we think and how we move in the world. We are unified in our humanness, but the way we think and look at the world and life situations may be very different from our neighbors around us. If we're looking with a positive attitude, if we're waiting to see the blessing in everything, that takes a different mindset than following the crowd, listening to the media, being in fear of what's coming up. As we recognize and trust that one power, one presence that we believe is our source. Many of us call it God, call it spirit, call it the universe, nature, whatever name we give to that power and presence that's greater than we are. That's what can help us have the faith, have the belief that life is moving forward and that things will get better. Being mindful is the other part of this theme, mindfulness for mavericks. So being mindful, let me define mindfulness for you. I found a definition that says it's a state of a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly and acknowledging. Let me start that over again. It's a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, used as a therapeutic technique. So the first thing that strikes me in this definition is that we're focused on the present moment. Now, I know that's not a new idea for any of us. The power of now, recognizing that when we are focused on the present moment, that's where our power is. And the second part, calmly accepting our feelings, thoughts, and body sensations, means that we're awake. We're aware of what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what's going on within our own physical body, as well as our mental body. Being mindful is not a pie in the sky, happy-go-lucky, everything is wonderful all the time thought. Being mindful means that you're being aware of your feelings. You're being aware of how your body is responding to what you're thinking. Is your body tensing up? Is your heart closing down? Or is your heart breaking open? Is your mind ready to look at something from a different perspective? These are all part of being mindful, being in the present moment, and being aware of how we're responding in a physical manner and a mental manner to this moment. Last week, Reverend Dr. David Goldberg spoke to us about being aware of our breath. And that mindful breathing is the beginning. It's the spiritual tool that we use to ground ourselves. Today, we're moving from the mindful breath to our mindful intentions. And that's our talk today. Mindful intentions. Setting a mindful intention is our next spiritual tool that we can put into our toolbox to use to help create the life that we want to have. Once we're mindful with our breathing, and we can control our breathing, focus on your breath, then we can get in touch with what we are thinking. So it's a natural progression for me from calming my breathing down, focusing, and then being able to look at my mind and look at how my body is responding to whatever the situation is around me. We know that a focused thought is more effective than an unfocused thought. Ernest Holmes, our founder, said, "A trained thought is far more powerful than an untrained thought." He goes on to say, the more conscious we are of the power of our thinking, the greater our responsibility is to use that power. Are you using your power responsibly, mindfully? It's our responsibility to be mindful with our intentions and to nurture them with our awareness. This takes practice. And by practice here, I'm talking about shifting that tendency of what we dwell on, of what we consume in the media, could be part of it, what we talk about with others, what we have confidence in. It's shifting our thinking, our words, our awareness, so that more and more of our choices reflect mindful intentions. Where do we want to go with our life? How do we want to live? How do we want to show up in the world? It's our choice. In the Bible, Proverbs 23:7 says, "As a person thinks in their heart, so they are." As a person thinks in their heart, so they are. The heart here is a symbol of that which is central, is essential, that which is life-giving to us. What gives our hearts the importance here is that it's a contributor in how we show up in the world. And it's very important to be mindful of what we allow into our heart. Now, we have many thoughts that go through our minds. Do we want to dwell on those thoughts? Or can we consciously choose, or another word would be mindfully choose, what we're bringing in, focusing on, and allowing into our heart? You may call it installing it in your heart. When we dwell on something in our heart, we're making that a part of us. And then it naturally will flow from us in our words, in our actions, in our attitudes. So a question for you: do you respect yourself? Do you love and care for yourself? You see, self-care, taking care of our physical bodies, taking care of our hearts, will make a difference in our minds, will make a difference in how we show up. I have a story to share with you. This was a pretty good band. They played in a lot of local venues and started gaining notoriety. Once they got a name for themselves, they were growing in popularity. And the drummer of the band started to wrestle with whether he was worthy of being in this band. He thought the other members really were the band, not him, and that he was pretty much the odd man out. He was feeling so bad about what he was contributing to the group that he was seriously thinking about quitting. He decided that he would confide in his friend, who was the lead guitar player for the band. And much to this drummer's surprise, the lead guitar player said, "It's odd that you should be thinking this way, because I was thinking the rest of you are the band and that I should really quit." Interesting, isn't it? Later, that pair told the story to one of the band's lead singers. And that individual, the singer, said he too had doubts about whether he really belonged in the band and thought maybe he should quit the band. Who were these mystery musicians? You might be surprised to learn. The Beatles. You see, we each have talents that are unique to us, and we each need to use our talents to be ourselves. If any of those individuals in the band would have thought they weren't good enough or weren't as good as the others, the world would have been denied the opportunity to see and experience the music and the excitement of the Beatles. James Allen wrote in his book, As a Man Thinketh, "They themselves are makers of themselves by virtue of the thoughts which they choose and encourage." What kinds of thoughts do you choose and encourage in your life? I have 3 questions for you to ask yourself, to consider this, to consider what kinds of thoughts. First, ask yourself, who do you think you are? Your life is a reflection of the belief you have and hold about yourself. Do you believe that you're making a contribution to life? Do you take time to nurture yourself so that you're bringing forth the best you have within you? Or do you spend your time spinning ideas in your thoughts like the musicians that I shared about, thinking that you're not as good as the people around you? Many people spin those kinds of thoughts. They live in that kind of a world. And so the question is, who do we think we are? Are we individuals who realize that we are powerful, creative, spiritual beings? And as these powerful, creative beings, we have unlimited possibilities that are waiting for us to embrace it and to create that new life for ourselves, to create the best image of ourselves in the world. Is that who you think you are? That powerful, creative, spiritual being? That is the truth of you, but do you live like that? Consider that question. And it leads us to our second question. Do you know how powerful your mind really is? You are creating life all the time. Your heaven or your hell, you're creating right here and right now. And you get to write or rewrite your story. You know, it's not the final chapter yet. And so you get to come in and decide, do I want a different life? Do I want to change how I'm thinking? Do I want to step into the power of my mind and use that power to create a different world for myself? You can become the master of your experience by creating your mindful intentions. Henry David Thoreau said, "Live the life you have imagined." What are you imagining? I've talked before about how important our minds are. Can even be called the office of imagination. Your imagination can open you up to new possibilities. Are you using your imagination, using your mind daily to create the life that you want to live? Your mind is the most powerful instrument in the universe. Let me say that again. Take this in. Take a breath. Your mind is the most powerful instrument in the universe. So I invite you to consider this, that you are a powerful creative person and that you can use your mind to create the life that you are imagining. The life that if you had everything you wanted, it would look like that. You're creating your life. Are you doing it mindfully? Our third question for today, what are you using your mind for? So it follows right along. Ernest Holmes says in Living the Science of Mind, the power that creates exists before we use it. However, it can only give that which we mentally take. And often our unbelief becomes our acceptance, our fear a misplaced faith. Are we living in the power of unbelief, in misplaced faith, on fear in the world, on what other people are telling us we should be thinking or feeling? Are we going along with the crowd? Or are we really being a mindful maverick? Are we having our own thoughts and recognizing as spiritual beings on a spiritual path that we can create a difference in the world? That's where I want to live. And that's where I want you to live. Each of us have this superpower, I'll call it. The superpower that is our mind. When we use our mindful intentions to create our lives, we are unstoppable. Training our minds to set powerful, mindful intentions is a spiritual tool. And this spiritual tool can help us to transform both our personal life and the world around us. But we must keep our minds clear. We must keep our minds focused so that our mindful intentions can manifest and that our minds don't get distracted by someone else's fear, by someone else's statements that are not the truth for us. So, of course, I have a story for you to illustrate how we need to keep our minds clear. A funny little story. This is about Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was traveling from Princeton on a train when the conductor came down the aisle. He was punching the tickets of every passenger. When he came to Einstein, Einstein reached in his vest pocket. He couldn't find his ticket, so he reached in his trouser pocket. The ticket wasn't there either. So he opened his briefcase and looked inside, but he couldn't find the ticket in his briefcase. Then he looked over in the seat beside him. He still couldn't find his ticket. The conductor said, "Dr. Einstein, I know who you are. We all know who you are. I'm sure you bought a ticket. Don't worry about it." Einstein nodded appreciatively to the conductor, who continued on down the aisle punching tickets. As the conductor got to the end of the car and was ready to move on to the next car, he turned around and looked back, and he saw this great physicist. I have trouble with that word. He saw the great physicist Einstein down on his hands and knees, looking under his seat for his ticket. The conductor went rushing back to him and said, Dr. Einstein, don't worry. I know who you are. No problem. You don't need a ticket. I'm sure you bought one." Einstein raised up. He looked at the young man and said, "Young man, I too know who I am. What I don't know is where I'm going." So I thought that was cute to recognize that even the great Dr. Einstein had to work on keeping his mind clear, remembering where he was going. Isn't that what we get to do? Remember where we're going? So I invite you this week to ask yourself the 3 questions. Who do I think I am? Do I realize how powerful my mind is? And what am I using my mind for? I'll leave you with some encouragement from Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder. Holmes said, "When the time comes that nothing goes from you other than that which you would be glad to have returned, then you will have reached your heaven." As you consider your mindful intentions this week, I hope that you will ask these questions of yourself. Ask, who do you think you are? Do you realize the power of your mind? And what are you using your mind for? I bless you as you set mindful intentions this week and create the life that works for everyone in your world. Join me now in prayer. Spirit, we pause and say thank you. Thank you for this message, for this time, for being able to come together in spiritual community and learn about another spiritual tool that you have given us, the wonderful power of our minds. I know that as we use our minds, we realize who we really are as powerful, creative, spiritual beings. Help us to hold on to that idea. Help us, God, to recognize the power of our minds as the most powerful tool in the universe. And help us to use our minds so that we are creating mindful intentions, creating the life that honors you as we live as spiritual beings. As we continue on our spiritual journey, bless each and every one of us. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for our life. Thank you for our breath. Thank you for our minds and opening our hearts to be your expression in the world. I release my word knowing it is accomplished, and together we seal it by saying, "And so it is." Thank you. Bless you.
Where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. You are the place. You are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. You are the place where God shows up. Oh, you are the place where God moves and breathes and has its being. You are the place where God shows up. We are the place. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Good morning, friends. This is Reverend Phil coming to you from the backyard. You can see the foliage is going crazy, and behind me is the biggest elm tree we have in the yard. I'm grateful to have the opportunity this morning to present a brief video to you honoring the 2020 graduates who are affiliated with CSL Parker. Please join me in holding them in the highest consciousness, knowing that the future holds great things for these individuals and that we are very, very proud of them.
As we move into our time of offering now, I invite you to support the spiritual center here, however it serves you best. You can donate online. There's a box at the top of the screen that allows you to do that. You can go to our website, or you can donate via Zelle, if that is a way that's comfortable for you. If you prefer to mail a check, we'll display our mailing address on the screen, which is the TEC building where we have our office and classroom space. Thank you for your continued support of our spiritual center. And now let's say together our offering affirmation. Together, Spirit is my source of infinite supply. With gratitude, I give freely, and I remain open to receive the abundance of the universe. And so it is.
I am wealthy, I am free, I'm abundant like God wants me to be. I am wealthy, I am free, I'm abundant like God wants me to be. When I give, I shall receive. What I invest comes back to me. I feel the faith so I can share.
Thank you for being with us this morning. I hope that you have enjoyed our service and that you found some tools that can help you to transform your life. And now, will you bow in prayer with me as we say our benediction? Know that as you go from this place, you go guided, guarded, and protected. You are held in that divine embrace. You're under the umbrella of the Center for Spiritual Living Parker, and you are God's expression in the world. Thank you, Spirit, for this blessed time together. Thank you for your message to each and every one of us today. I speak a word of blessing on each person viewing now and that will view in the future. Thank you, Spirit, for the life that you have given us. Help us to be your mindful mavericks, living that spiritual life. I bless us and I release my word as together we say, and so it is. And now, enjoy our closing song. Thank you so much for being with us today. Namaste.
To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is the thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibility. And heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more.